Iron Man, Captain America, Spider-Man, and Ant-Man all have 3 self-titled films in the MCU. But after seeing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, I'm here to tell you that these lovable a-holes have the best trilogy in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I'm going to explain why right now. Before I get into Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, let's clean up a few things. The Avengers series is most likely going to continue until the MCU dies, so I'm not counting that. And Thor came out with Thor Love and Thunder, which now makes it a quadrilogy, I think. So I'm not counting that one either. Now, like I said, we have Iron Man, Captain America, Spider-Man, and Ant-Man. As beloved as the first Iron Man film was, Iron Man 2 and 3 both fell flat, so that's out of the running. And in terms of Ant-Man, yes, we all love Scott Lang, but I'm sure we can all agree that the Ant-Man trilogy is the worst one out of all the ones that I've mentioned. I mean, spoiler alert, Kang did get defeated by ants. So right now, I know that you're screaming, there's no way that the Guardians of the Galaxy has a better trilogy than Captain America or Spider-Man. I mean, both franchises respectively have Civil War and No Way Home, 2 of the top movies in the MCU. But let me tell you about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and then we're gonna loop back around to those 2 trilogies. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is mainly what the Fast and Furious franchise is about. Family.
I got family.
Just way better. One of their own is in trouble and the rest of them just won't stop until everyone is okay. For me, this film is the perfect example of what movies should be when somebody has a singular vision along with minimal studio interference. That's one thing that really hurt the Ant-Man franchise. There's no way that you can tell me when they first made Ant-Man that they were like, hey, the 3rd movie, we're gonna have the next Marvel big bad Kang the Conqueror in it. I felt like once studios try to shoehorn stuff in to plan for the future instead of worrying about what's now, that's what really hurts the film. And there was none of that in here. Everything in this movie felt intentional and linked to the first film, down to the main big bad of the film, the High Evolutionary. The High Evolutionary is linked to Rocket's past, and that takes up the bulk of the emotional weight in the film. And one thing that I have to say about the High Evolutionary is, listen, I'm critical about villains in superhero movies because most of the times I just feel like, oh, hey, we just need a villain, let's just shoehorn this guy in to take over the world or something with no real motivation. But I can say he wasn't just shoehorned in it. Actually, they've been setting breadcrumbs that he was there the entire time from Rocket in the first film. And one thing that makes him a great villain is you absolutely hate this man. You don't see where he's coming. No, you just hate him for good reason too. This is by far the most emotional film in the entire trilogy, but it's not just emotional to be emotional, but it's been earned. We've been with these characters for almost a decade and we feel close to them. That's why when they feel pain, we feel pain. When they cry, we cry. But as emotional and sad that this movie can be, it's also very funny. But it doesn't dumb down the characters just like Marvel sometimes wants to do for cheap laughs. No, the characters stay true to who they are, and some of the lines is just absolutely funny. Also, in this movie has one of my favorite scenes in the entire MCU. One of my favorite series is Daredevil, and what Daredevil is famous for is having these long one-shot takes of fighting scenes. And in this movie in particular, there's the Guardians versus, albeit just generic villains, but it takes place in a corridor, and the one shot is so good. It's like you're playing the video game. Everybody's teaming up yet again doing their own thing. It reminds me of the first Avengers movie when Cap holds up his shield, Iron Man blasted off his shield to take people out, and then he throws them, and then Hawkeye gets involved. It shows peak. This is cinema, people. Now, about it being the best trilogy. No spoilers here, but I genuinely feel like this movie gave each character a finality to them. When you look at a movie like Captain America Civil War, a movie that I hold dear to my heart because it finally introduced Spider-Man in the MCU. But even though that was a trilogy, that wasn't the end to Cap's story. By the end of Captain America Civil War, Cap drops his shield and had us all wondering, okay, well, what's next? None of us thought that was the end of him, but he actually got his story's ending in Avengers Endgame. Spider-Man No Way Home, which is my favorite MCU movie. I mean, heck, maybe one of my favorite movies of all time. I mean, look. And as good as those movies are, we can all agree that from Homecoming to No Way Home, that was just a big origin story for our Spider-Man. And we're still hoping and praying for a fourth film. So for me, that really didn't end Spider-Man's story either. And the reason why I would truly put the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy as number one out of all the trilogies is because it started with characters that we didn't know nor really cared about. And then by the end of volume 3, it made me, as much as I love these characters, it made me feel at peace if we don't see them again. I didn't think about, well, why did this character do this? Or, okay, so what's gonna happen to them now? I didn't think about that. I genuinely felt at ease knowing that we grew with these C-D-list characters and their household names now, and their stories are done. And I must say this before I go. I really didn't say anything negative about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and I won't. We've been getting a lot of mid to just movies recently, and this isn't one of them. This is a movie from the heart that tells a cohesive story that doesn't shove a lot of stuff down your throat. I mean, I could say, oh, well, Adam Warlock really shouldn't have been in this movie. He really didn't. No, he should have. James Gunn is off to the DC studios after this one, and he introduced us to Adam Warlock in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. It would have been weird if we would have been introduced to Adam Warlock in another Spider-Man or the Marvel. It would have been weird if we were introduced him that way. Hopefully we can see him again to flesh out the character more, but no, he was fine with me. I love seeing all the Guardians back together. I love that there was a reason why Gamora was with the Guardians for this movie, and I personally feel that this was one of the best villains of the MCU because you just hate this man. My God. In my trilogy rankings, I would put Guardians of the Galaxy, Spider-Man, Captain America, Iron Man, then Ant-Man. That's just me. Do you guys agree? Comment below, let me know. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.